Kasikenga now. Sakindede. Kabundeneze. Simana kinedoze. Odochizi yakudido. Get la. No lo pega. Hat la. Get it no. Get it la hat la hemandade. Sindo fulo hele ma celula. Yenele la hat na pere no feta. Sina la hello ne pepa. Selaman. Sitna ndo pere na no peta. No na ndo pere no peta. Sitna ndo pere na no peta. No la no pere no peta. Selele la na ha la bo na he. Simo la hela no pa. Simala no le na hela o ma na na. No pele no he no. Sit la no pele no pe. Nalando pere no indai. Sitnando pere no pecoba. Sitnando pere no peca. Ayaka. Wananga na waki. Adinde. Oh na. Kasikenga now. Sakindede. Kabundeneze. Simana kinedoze. Odochizi yakudido. Get la. No lo pega. Hat la. Get it no. Yelele la hat la hemandade. Sindo fulo hele ma celula. Yelele la hat na pere no feta. Sina la hello ne pepa. Selaman. Sitna ndo pere na no pena. No na ndo pere no peta. Sitnando pere na ho pepa. No la no pere no pepa. Selele la na ha la bo na he. Simo na hela no pa. Simala no le na hela o ma na na. No pele no he. Sitnando pere no pepa. Nalando pere no indai. Sitnando pere no pecoba. Sitnando pere no peca. Ayaka. Wananga na waki. Adinde. Oh na.
So greetings, good evening. Can you hear me? I know we are connecting a little bit late, but we have very, very good information to you here today, live from the Pan-African Daily. Let me put off the music. I'm in the studio today alone, so I have to manage everything. Oh my God. This is all right. So, how are you? How are you, beloved? How are you, happy people? There's just so much to say today on the Pan African Daily. I want to welcome all of you that are joining this stream tonight. Because, like I said yesterday, we have to start with the introduction of the Agenda 2063 of the African Union. So, today, first, we're just going to touch the background information. Why was it created? For what purpose was it created? What is it that this agenda is important to the African? Because, like we said, the Agenda 2063 should be the Bible and the Quran for every African in the world. You have to hold it so tight, like you study it like you study any other thing. Like when you go to school, you come back in the evening, you have to go through it. You sleep with it, you wake up with it. When you wake up, you have to revise it and go until it sticks into your brain that you could just, anybody snaps up your hand, you can talk about Agenda 2063. Because why? I'm sorry. Agenda 2063 is actually the development of Africa by Africans. I'll do a slideshow of it just to show you how it looks like. But we're going to be doing these lectures. I want to give you the background information about it, show you a lot of examples that are already existing. So when we say Agenda 2063, it's not that Africa is going to be developed in 2063. It's already happening right here, like I said yesterday. And but I know a lot of people, we just say it, some don't know, some read it just like, oh my God, 2063, what am I going to be doing here? So if you're joining us, please make sure you share the link and invite our our lovely ones wherever they are. Thank you for watching from South Sudan. And yeah, greetings from Uganda and from everybody. Buffalo Soldiers, I greet you from Antigua. Thank you so very much, John Africa, and everyone that is joining the lectures for tonight. So, before I go into the agenda, you already saw that I had been bringing here on the platform from our banners, some very interesting information all the way from Senegal's youngest president, and not just youngest president, but the Africa we want, the presidents of the Africa we want. It's the same thing like you hear the lectures with Al Wahab on Thursday, who is going to talk about, Traore, Ibrahima Traore, the president of Burkina Faso. Okay. So, but what is just breaking tonight on Pan African Daily TV is this story. It's very interesting. You know, barely 20 days in office or 30 days in office, the guy is already performing so high. This is a very interesting story that I want all of you, to watch it and to note it. And so you can begin to see the actions of 2063 being implemented. First, the new leadership that is taking place on the continent of Africa is not by chance. Okay. If elections took place in Burkina Faso or there was a coup d'etat and nothing is happening, like you see foreign troops or that, is because it is time for Africa and they're implementing the Agenda 2063. So this young, handsome, responsible president has just actually launched this that we are seeing. This is Senegal joins the rank of oil-producing nations. It starts producing oil from Sagoma oil fields in Senegal. In Senegal, we're not talking about the Chinese producing oil. We're not talking about the Western corporations. We're not talking about Russia. We're talking about Senegal. And you also would find this action in Burkina Faso. So, when we talk with facts. When we talk with evidence of how the Africa is moving forward. The Africa by Africans, the Africa Africans want. It's absolutely happening. So what we're doing is actually to open your eyes more to be a part of this engagement, because what is going to happen is if you fail to be a part of this development, you just would be ignorant, and countries will come outside, they benefit from it, and you as an African would not have an idea. So what does it say here? Patrick Kasserine posted this 3 hours ago, and it's actually trending on Pan African Daily TV Facebook. He said Senegal has joined the ranks of oil producing nations as the country starts producing oil from Sagoma fields, okay, oil fields. After several years of delay, Woodside Energy Group Limited said Tuesday it had obtained the first oil from the Sagoma field off the coast of Senegal, marking the safe delivery of the country's first offshore oil project. The floating facility has a storage capacity of 1.3 million barrels at a depth of 780 meters. It contains both oil and gas and is expected to produce between 100,000 and 125,000 barrels per day. Listen carefully. Okay, it contains both oil and gas. Listen, African people, listen, African youth. Okay, the Sagoma oil fields in Senegal contains both oil and gas and is expected to produce between 100,000 and 125,000 barrels per day. It is expected to generate billions of dollars for Senegal and boost its economy. I mean, when it boosts the economy of Senegal, it's already boosting the economy of Africa. So Senegal's President Bassirou Diomaye Faye said profit from the sales of oil and gas will be well managed. So that's what is breaking today on Pan African Daily TV and Facebook page. And we're so happy to bring this good news to you. I mean, for those of you who don't know, you can follow us on Pan African Daily TV Facebook page. Just put Pan African Daily TV on Facebook and you just see it come. We are one and only. There's no copyright. There's no, nothing that can imitate. You see our logo? It's very straight and clean who we are. So I will leave a joke with you, not just a joke, but another topic that is trending. So at the end of this session for today, I'm going to ask you what you think about it. Okay. I'm going to ask you what you think about it. And it's also one of the latest posts that is actually trending on Pan African Daily TV Facebook page. And today we have just a couple of hours that it was posted. It's already gone viral. So I want to share this with you, but it's a question. It's a question. I'll just read the story and I show you the picture. And at the end of the conversation, you can also drop your answer in the chat board while we're going on with the lectures on Agenda 2063, okay? So this is the picture. For those of you that are already following us on Pan African Daily TV Facebook page, of course, you know it. And you already, a lot of people, I mean, more than close to 500, people are already talking about it with more than 30 shares and already, giving their opinion about it. So this is it. Consider this scenario, okay? A farmer sprayed his crops with a pesticide. Listen carefully, people. A farmer sprayed his crops with a pesticide. You can see the picture above. The one up is the farmer spraying his pesticide. Hours later, herdsmen brought 11 cattle onto the farm. These are the 11 cattle that you can see on the ground. And the cattle died from grazing on the sprayed maize crop. Okay, so the guy above sprayed his corn fields, with pesticide. Then a herdsman come with 11 cattle, and they feed on the maize that was sprayed. And now the question is, the cattle owner is suing the owner of the farm and requires compensation. So who is at fault and why? Okay, did you get it? I would share it again. A farmer sprayed his crops with a pesticide. Hours later, he sprayed his crops. Herdsman brought 11 cattle onto the farm, and the cattle died from grazing on the sprayed maize corn. So the cattle owner is suing the owner of the farm and requires compensation. So, who is at fault, African people, and why? So at the end of the lectures with on on Agenda 2063, we are going to actually answer to this question. Okay. So every day on Pan African Daily, that's how our program is going to look like. We take a trending post from Pan African Daily TV Facebook page, and we take a question and answer. So we present what is trending and what is current on the continent, and who is winning, which country, and then we do a lecture, and then at the end of it, we answer a question. So the end of this conversation, you're expected to answer. All right, so let's dive into the lectures today. That's poison, not pesticide. Emru said, okay, let's consider that. But at the end of the show, please, at the end of the show, we want to know whether it's a pesticide or poison. We don't know what it is. But the issue is, who is right? Is it the guy that sprayed whatever it is in his cornfields, or the cattleman that brought cattle, okay? And they fed on it. They ate the grazing, they ate the corn that was sprayed. So ain't the cattle headsmen are the ones suing the farmer. So figure it out according to Africanness, according to Ubuntu-ness, according to how we deal with our own private matters here. This is the court on which I'm bringing you this question. And I'm looking forward to your answer at the end of the lecture. So thank you very much. We will go right straight into the lectures, please. While I'm saying, you can begin to think about, about is. I see my son watching from Canada saying the cattle owner always, always, because his grandfather used to be a cattle owner, and that's why he's saying always. I'm not going to answer right now, but the people that are going to win, honestly, you're going to get something from Pan African Daily today. Not today, I mean, in our quiz process that we're starting right now. So we go on to Agenda 2063, my people. Agenda 2063, when you look at the cover, it looks actually like this. I want this version. If you want to download the version, we can also send it to you in PDF. But why we're doing these lectures is because we're collaborating with Africa Union to begin to share and to provide knowledge, on the Agenda 23, because we realize many Africans are busy reading or studying other things rather than studying on the development that is going to happen very soon. Yeah, because even though it is 2063, you'll find out in the guidelines or the aspirations that, the implementation phase of this document, of this blueprint of the continent's development by Africans, it's already set in the next 10 years. So I think the Africa Union figured it out when they came out with 2063, and the Sustainable Development Goals, the SGDC, came out with 2030 agenda, okay, of the world. So, I mean, somebody has to be ahead of somebody. So these guys, they are at kind of a ping pong. But what is very important before you read the SGDC, SDGs goals 2030, please study the 2063. Study this version that we're doing today. Of course, I'll be here to study this whole thing with you, and I'll analyze and break it down, because sometimes you read, but if you don't understand the background, particularly at diaspora, in the SIT region, it will be difficult. So yes, let's go. I'm going to put it on a full screen. And I'm going to bring me really small down here, really small, so that we can actually digest the lectures of today. This is the Bible, as I call it. This is the Bible of what we know as the Africa we want. Now you understand why I renamed my organization in Germany the Africa we want in 2020. Because actually, when we met with Professor Pielo Lumumba in Germany at the Africa Festival 2019, all of us came to the conclusion that we have to take this agenda of the Africa Union and run away with it. Run away means the youth have to seize it, study it in groups, study it in church, study it at workplace, to be able to be a part of this sustainable development that is happening right now. So this is how the background note looks like. I will just read it and then we analyze it and we look at what is very, very important. Now you see from the image the future that they're anticipating already. This is a future, this is an agenda that is done by the Africans already having that vision of their children. Okay, that's why you see the female energy and the masculine energy are represented here beautifully. Okay, and if you look at it, the map of Africa is there, but this agenda you will see, even from its anthem, from the anthem of the AU that we played during the Africa Union, you can begin to understand the vision, yeah, and why they met at the 50th anniversary to actually, put on this masterpiece for the African children worldwide. So this is the anthem. I like us to go, just really fast, but what I want us to understand is the message, okay? Let us all unite and celebrate together. That's what we do every day on Pan African Daily TV. The victory is won for our liberation, for our liberation. Let us dedicate ourselves to rise together, to defend our liberty and our unity, okay? O sons and daughters of Africa, flesh of the sun and flesh of the sky, let us make Africa the tree of life. We know the emblem of Africa is the tree of life. And not just Africa, because Africa is a continent, but Africa as a family. Okay? So let us all unite and sing together to uphold the bonds that frame our destiny. Let us dedicate ourselves to fight together for lasting peace and justice on earth. But I would like to say in Africa first and on earth. O sons and daughters of Africa, flesh of the sun and flesh of the sky, let us make Africa the tree of life. Let us all unite and toil together to give the best we have to Africa, the cradle of mankind and fount of culture, our pride and hope at break of dawn. O sons of Africa and daughters, flesh of the sun and flesh of the sky, let us make Africa the tree of life. So that is the anthem. I think all of you, we already played it here, but I'll play it at the end of the show. And yeah, so it's something that I do for me, I wake up, I play the anthem before I even start my morning, before I pour libations. I play the anthem, I listen to it, it sinks into my mind. I pour my libations before I start my day, before I even brush my teeth. That's what I do. Okay. So when we go into the introduction tells us exactly, because I know the version that a lot of people are downloading on the 2063 is the popular version, and the popular version doesn't give you the background of why it even was, and the general overview of the agenda, the first 10-year plans, and the next steps, like you can see here. Okay, what are the objectives, of this, when did they meet, and that's just the introduction. We'll be getting the chapters like you can see here: introduction, background, general overview of the agenda, the first 10-year plan. That's very important, and that's why I say we are already implementing it right now. Like you see the young leadership that is coming up on the continent of Africa, so and opening up a lot of doors to investors. And who are these investors? You find it in this agenda. Who are the stakeholders of this continent? You're going to find it in this agenda. Because what is popular on the screen is China is, the propaganda news will tell you China is the biggest partner of Africa or America or Germany or that. But in Agenda 2063, you're going to find out who are the stakeholders. And even without this agenda, Africans, you have to understand that you are the first stakeholders. You're the first stakeholders, the primary stakeholders to any nation are its people. That's why they put you as a GDP, the total population included with all the resources and everything to quantify and give a value to your continent. So the first and famous, who are the stakeholders? It is the sons and daughters of Africa everywhere on earth are the first primary stakeholders of the continent, because without them, China will not even come to do business with us or Europe. So who are the custodians? Who are the owners of the continent? Africans, you have to know you are the primary owners, and every primary owners that is paying taxes all right, or is farming or doing whatever thing involved in community development in the community itself, are you yourself? Okay, is the people. So forget about that narrative of, oh, this is that is foreign news, of course. Like Africa is also partnering with other countries, and other countries are partnering with us, but it doesn't mean that they are the stakeholders of the continent. Okay, that's very important for you as an African child to know this. All right, I'll go to the next page because now wait, this one is very important. This is page 3. I was here. All right, we go to this one. So, just a simple, what is Agenda 2063 and its genesis? Now you understand when I start telling you this is the Bible. Our founding fathers, when they met to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the OAU, they came together and were inspired now to create, from the past history and the present to the future. And they came up with this agenda. Remember again, it was founded in 2013 when they met to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Organization of Africa Unity. You can already read it here, it's here. But I'll just go through really quick on it. Agenda 23 is a shared framework for inclusive growth and sustainable development for Africa to be realized in the next 50 years. It is a continuation of the Pan-African drive over centuries, okay, for unity, self-determination, freedom, progress, and collective prosperity pursued under Pan-Africanism and African Renaissance. I just want to pin here for a moment. These values are what we preach on Pan-African Daily every day. Be it the young, be it the elder, be it the old, be it the middle. That's our motto. That's our motto. Now you understand that our background of the Africa we want. You can also see in my studio, look, it's here. The Africa we want in purple, because it's the name of the organization that is representing, the non-profit organization that is representing the Pan-African Daily TV. The Africa we want, because we're going through the process of this Bible, because we don't want any African child to miss to become a billionaire just in a very short time. Then you will have yourself to blame, okay? So it is a continuation of Pan-African drive over the centuries. What does that mean? The founding fathers already had this dream when the Kwame Nkrumahs met and they decided to form the Organization of the African Union. So that's the Pan-African drive from day one that they started. Regardless of what is happening, that we're saying, okay, neocolonialism or imperialism is still existing, the memoir that was set after that, look at the words, and these are our key words that we carefully use on the Pan-African Daily: unity, self-determination, freedom, progress, and collective prosperity pursued under Pan-Africanism and African Renaissance. This is very important, what is said here. It builds on and seeks to accelerate the implementation of past and existing continental initiatives for growth and sustainable development. It was agreed upon by the African leaders in 2013 through the 50th anniversary, solemn declaration during the commemoration of the 50th anniversary of the Organization of African Unity. I already said it. In their 50th anniversary solemn declaration, the head of state and government, while acknowledging past successes and challenges. It is very important, why the past successes and challenges, because the narrative of the world today that we sought to look after from propaganda newspaper, from Western media, and also some of the African media that don't even understand how to promote and brand their continent. They pick stories from the Western media and just somehow envelop it just to make a presence in the news arena. None of them has sat on the ground and thought about the agenda of Pan-Africanism and African Renaissance. None. I don't know. You watch every conservative media. If you're not hearing about floods, you're hearing about accidents, you're hearing about death. Nothing. I don't watch TV. Of course, that's the reason why I create mine. Because everything in the TV is just to make you later on, you just go down. Your energy is always down because you will never hear anything positive. There's never going to be a day that they're going to sell you positivity because they don't want your eyes to open. If you know more, you will do better. Okay. So we on the Pan African Daily, we are focused on these values because we're acknowledging the past successes and challenges rededicated themselves to the continent's accelerated development and technological progress. They emphasize a guiding vision to build an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa, driven and managed by its own citizens. Oh my God, listen to this. Because sometimes when we talk about the leadership of Africa, we are also seeing the leadership of Africa from the mindset of the Eurocentric agenda. And that's why we say, oh, our leaders are puppet leaders. And the Agenda 2063 is not written by the West. It's not written by the Western media or any person. It is written by the heads of state and government. You've heard it, by themselves. So do you look at them as puppet leaders? They're going through a transformation that is happening right now, as you see. Because given Africa's history that we know from the ancient kingdoms to the modern Africa that was colonized and enslaved, I mean, you don't expect any Africa give our history to anybody. It never would. They will never be where we are today. So those are the challenges and the successes that they're talking about. Okay. But what is very interesting is to build an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa driven and managed by its own citizens and representing a dynamic force in the international arena, and identified 8 ideals to serve as pillars for the continent in the foreseeable future. Agenda 2063, as a people-driven initiative, was to translate the ideals into concrete objectives, milestones, goals, targets, actions, and measures. Very self-explanatory. We all know that we Africans don't read. That's why they can bamboozle us with anything. Everybody can bring any fact. But now this is documented. You can download it. You begin to digest it as I'm sharing with you. I'm just here just to introduce it to you, but going down to the aspirations, you can begin to digest it. But we're doing exceptional classes on this now because reading just the agenda sounds very good. But what is always challenging to the African child anywhere on earth, when I say child, I talk even about our elders and our mothers because all of us belong to Mother Africa, is the understanding on how you can translate this vision into a reality. I want to repeat this again. It is easy to read, but how you want to see yourself here is what we do trainings on. So this is the Bible on which we train you how to be in that process in the Renaissance. Because all of us are coming from crazy backgrounds and historical backgrounds, and we are still caught up in our dilemma and the traumas of the past. We're still wounded, even though we're healing, gently from it. So what we do, or what particularly I do on my speakers program, on my trainings program that I'll begin to initiate, is to train you on how you can become, because it's difficult. Not everybody can do that. Okay. So when we go to the next, why Agenda 2063 and what does it seek to achieve? Self-explanatory, as I said. Agenda 2063 seeks to galvanize and unite in action all Africans and the diaspora around a common vision of a peaceful, integrated, and prosperous Africa. Point 2, harness the continent endowment embodied in its people. It means all the talents that are embodied in all Africans, history, cultures, and natural resources, geopolitical position to effect equitability and people-centered growth and development. Now, no African should complain, and that's why we say we keep complaining because we don't know what we have. I said it again, the key words here: center, people-centered driven. So, like they put the guidelines, the governments and the head of state sat and they put guidelines and throw it out to you. It is for you to pick the agenda and you see how you fit in, how you modernize yourself into fitting in. Nobody's going to do it for you. Okay? So, it's already people centered growth and development. So, build on and accelerate implementation of continental frameworks and other similar initiatives. Okay, the continental frameworks provide internal coherence and coordination of continental, regional, and national framework and plans adopted by the AU, Africa Union, of course, the regional economics and member state plans and strategies. Offer policy space for individual, sectoral, and collective actions to realize the continental vision of the Africa we want, of course. Okay, so you can already see the background. What is Agenda 2063 and its genesis? I told you again, please. This is very important. Why do they use Genesis? Why do they use Genesis? That's a lot of question. And this is what we train, and this is what we teach. What is Genesis? What is Agenda 2063 and its genesis and its genesis? Okay, these two keywords are very important for you to note down. Now, slide 5 tells you why a 50-year agenda. I know this is a place that irritates a lot of Africans when they hear a 50-year, and Africans are like, no, we want to stay. But you're going to see the implementation vision that is a 10-year plan already, which is already taking place through the Africa Free Trade Continental area, and the new leadership that is picking up on the continent right now, and very fast, and a lot is still going to happen in upcoming years. Now you can see even presidents of countries, like in Cameroon, the president of the Republic of Cameroon is talking about, l'émergence. It's in French. Émergence. Émergence 2035. Émergence 2035. What is that? Renaissance. Renaissance 2035. So, but the Renaissance 2035 is the 10-year implementation plan of the Agenda 2063. I really want to make this so clear to you, because Agenda 2063, I said, has to be your daily, like you go through until you master it, until it cleans up all the brainwash and all the miseducation or part of the education that had been a center focus on you. We have a lot of engineers out there. Now we know those engineers are working in oil mills as drillers, as engineers, and setting up those oil mills. Now you just heard it from the news that Senegal has its own oil mill fuels integrated with gas. So what are you thinking if you are an engineer working out there in foreign companies? What are you thinking? Shouldn't you be thinking of considering being a broker in the business space of Senegal, where you feel where you are at home, where you're not discriminated from all the blah, blah, where you are not sidelined, where you can speak the language, where you can, really feel at home in your skin and in your mind, and connecting to all the necessary natural resources that you have. I really would consider that. Okay. So that's why I just wanted to break down why the 50 year. The 50 years is not 2063, but it's already the 2035 that most countries are walking through. Okay. Sometimes we're already so blind in our poverty mindset that even the least development that is taking place around your vicinity, you don't see it, because we've been brainwashed into this poverty, and poverty mindset is what determines us. Okay, so even if they're developing roads or they're building malls or industries are coming, like the China is really here on the continent. I'm telling you, I said my neighbor from my studio is building a biggest the China mall here, and it's going in East Africa, in Nigeria, and every place. Now, when I talk to Africans, they seem to not even have an idea that So sometimes the negativity that we used to have is actually what has blinded us from seeing even the renaissance of Africa and the emergence, like I said, emergence 2035. Okay. And while we are blinded to see this uprising or this development, even if they are baby foot, that's why other countries, other companies, they are taking advantage. They're taking advantage because you are seeing 2063 as if it's far. But for China, they have a 100-year plan to be on the continent of Africa. For America, they have a 200-year plan to be in Africa. Sorry, in Africa. For Russia, they see a 100-year plan. Every other partners of Africa see a long-term developmental plan because they know what it's going to take. So they don't bother how much billions they put into them. They don't worry. They know they're going to get it. They would get it. They'll keep tapping the energy and the oil and everything. And Africa, with a big market population of 1.4 billion, I mean, everybody's just going to buy what they make. So, but for Africans, our short sightedness in seeing the baby steps of the continent makes us to always run out thinking that these countries that we are going through, or the diaspora, were built in 20, 30 years. Read their history. Study the history of each country that you are in and come and hold this discussion. Come and be my guest on Pan African Daily TV. Okay? And another thing, go in every African country for you to understand who is dependent on who. You have all the world's embassy on the continent of Africa. All. Canada is the latest now, getting people to study in Canada, and not even only study in Canada, but even building the Canadian schools here. Do you know how many visas people apply to study in these countries, and how much percent are giving those visas, and how much money they make a day, and you're not sure of having a visa? Now just ask yourself the question. I'm going to people who are already in my continent. Have you ever seen any African cultural embassy anywhere in the world? Of course, America, because African Americans are there. They might have institute, but I'm saying continental, regional bodies. Of course, we have African embassies and stuff like that. But where do you find Africa language schools, like they teach Swahili? Where do you find even African cultural centers in where you are? Except the Africans that are there, that are creating this kind of space because of our people that are there. Like in my case in Germany. Okay. So, but apart from that, the thing, what I want to make you understand is who needs who? Who needs who? Of course, we need each other, but who needs who most? Maybe. Let's go back to that point. So, yeah, you can read through why the 50 years agenda of all of us are reading. So you would find a little bit of the reason why the national level would be responsible for this and the implementation. I really want to go to the 10 years implementation plan, because that's what we are dwelling on. 2035. 2035 is just how many years from today? How many years from today? And most of us are still here. Even 2063 people, we are here. Who is going anywhere? We're going to dance to that. And it's going to happen right now. It's going to happen. Why? Because even the partners of Africa are promoting it. Number two, because technology is just open to it. So some things are just bound to happen. It's not something that you have to push it a lot to happen. It just happens because it's the time. Okay. So I'll just keep this why 50 years agenda 2063. Why now? Why now? I mean, when they say why now, that was 2013. Okay. It's not right now that I'm speaking to you. But if you're reading it for the first time, so it's going to be why now. This new effort to envision Africa's long-term development trajectory is timely for several reasons. Yeah. The changing global context, globalization, and the information technology revolution has provided unprecedented opportunities for countries and regions with the right policies to make significant advances and lift huge sections of population out of poverty. And these people that you say they are, honestly speaking, even if just thinking it is not doing it, it's already too good enough for an African child to believe in their self and their continent. Even if the leaders just put it, and that it is the next generations, the current generations that will be implementing it. This is already too good, so good just to understand. Okay, so like I said, the globalization means what? You see, the like most platforms like PK Kasarim's Global Village, the world has become a global village. Okay, so global village, you see, ask the question. So it's a global village. Why are you refusing visas? Why are you, putting trade barriers and stuff like that? That's the narrative. Take it as it is. The world has become a global village. What does that mean for you, an African child? An African child that goes out to study is studying to come back to its continent. I went out. I was out for 25, 26, 27 years. I'm back on the continent because I did not come back shipping containers or that I even had a building. I just brought my head back to the continent because the skills that I had here is not going to be replaced by anything, not anytime soon. It's going to be passed on from generation to generation. Okay, so to elevate its population out of poverty. Of course, we are conscious that that Africa is impoverished through a lot of things, even our mind. For me, the poverty is not really just because we don't have good roads. We used to be in ancient Africa. We walk on camel backs and we walk on foot. I mean, I grew up in the village where we trekked kilometers to go to that market, and that never was a problem. Okay, but the poverty in this context of Pan-Africanism and what we're talking about is the mental poverty. Like you're really sitting on a platter of gold and you're not aware of it. And you keep being poor in your mind when you're just so rich. Okay. In this context, I want us in context of Pan-African Daily TV, because we're doing mindset education, mindset and awareness education. It's just to understand how to be conscious about even the opportunities that are around you. But if nobody tells you, you won't even know. So improve incomes and catalyze economic and social transformations. Of course, you can already see the trends, how Africa is open now through technology, how the world is copying Africa. Whether it's lifestyle or it's fashion or it's food, you go to reels, you see Africa eating their fufu with their hands, and everybody is copying. And a lot of people are doing cock shows. Very soon, you start seeing, I mean, I'm not saying very soon. Even when I was in Germany, Germans were already cooking fufu right in my face. And they were doing tutorials on it. Okay. And they said, actually, that's the main food of the continent of Africa. But guess what? Tomorrow you'll see the biggest restaurant that is being opened is going to call maybe Fufu restaurant. It's not going to be owned by an African. That's just what it means. The world is becoming a global village. People are looking for opportunities and possibilities elsewhere. When they grab it, you will not tell a German opening an African restaurant, oh, why do you open an African restaurant? Because you're German. Or a German will look at an African opening a German restaurant and say, what? So that's just that cosmos, that mixture. And the African child, you mustn't travel to be able to learn this, because we are bringing the skills to you. But of course, we want you to travel to make your experience. And even how you want to travel will teach you how to travel and why to travel right here on the Pan-African Daily. Okay, it's been 30 years of experience, and that experience was actually meant to bring that development back to the continent of Africa, not just to go and earn a salary, and that's too less. That's not enough. In addition, most African economies now have a place in place sound macroeconomies and market-oriented economies, which have spurred growth, trade, and investment expansion. Of course, look at the market size of Africa. It would take a lot for an African child to understand what it means, a market size. And this is what we do in trainings. Because people, as you know, I can really not break down some samples, show you, diagrams, or even just we do games that you can understand what some of these big things are. You can read it in economics, you can even read it in marketing, and you know all those things. But the implementation in your mindset is totally different. Okay. So we teach you really how to understand what is a macroeconomy in the context of Africa. How do you see it? Because all these things, nothing is new. Our parents did it all. All our parents did it. I told you, if my father, or my father who is Mississippi's watching me, his grandfather, if he was born in the Americas, he would have been called a cattle rearer and a ranch owner of cattle, because that's what he was. And now, for him to determine his price, how much he would sell, or how to breed his cattle, not these ones with pesticide, but eating green, fresh grass with salt and all this, he didn't need to go to school to learn that, to know what macroeconomy or microeconomy or trade and investment is. How much he buys his little cattle, from the neighboring countries, or even in those days, he said they used to go to South Africa to buy those cattle, to bring it to his ranch in the village and to raise it and to resell it. He didn't need to have a PhD to understand what trade and investment was, to understand what it means to buy from another country in Africa and sell in another country in Africa. All these big, big words is what I want to chop it down with you, African people and African youth. Okay. Don't be frightened by terminologies. It's just the same thing your ancestors and your parents have been doing every day in front of your eyes. My mother, who raised me up, is a big businesswoman controlling trucks, but she never went to high school or to any engineering school to understand what it means to change the engine oil and to control, hundreds of drivers that were driving under her. So let nobody fool you. Let nobody lie to you. Your parents were primitive, or you even lying to yourself that because I travel abroad, now I'm more than my parents. You can never beat them. I keep telling you that. Come and have that conversation with me here, and I'll be giving you just tips and samples, and you can tell me whether you did them. They did it long time ago. You can already begin to relate from the lectures I'm giving you. Just be in your normal senses and bring down these ones. Just calm down and begin to look at what your parents did. And you compare it to all these big, big words, whether anything has changed. Nothing has changed. It's the same thing. So yes, our parents knew this, and we can tap into that. So the changing global context from this agenda, I want to refer to it from the local rural context of how we already knew what globalization is. It's not starting today. Globalization started even when the Africans, the colonization. What were they looking on the continent of Africa? Is the same thing Africans are looking in those countries. They're looking out for, because they discover the minerals, the richness of the continent, of course, and everybody who wants to chop and have his part. It's the same thing the African child also is going out to discover. What is it? I mean, I see all these skyscrapers, we have it on the continent, but I just want to travel and also have some skills and learn and have experiences. Because even the skills that we're talking about, we have them. But the mindset of looking at somebody's things and jealousing it while you have it in quantum, while you have it, like you have oceans, you have rivers, clean, natural, but we're there jealousing. We just jealous somebody because he has a pool house. He has a pool in his compound. Now, a river and an ocean, please, come on, baby. And somebody just having an apartment with a pool inside. And you're like, I dream to be that. Come on, you have mountains, you have rivers, you have waterfalls. Go to Zimbabwe Falls, to Victoria Falls, to every place. Zimbabwe Falls, I'm sorry, not Victoria. So the next point, why, is the building on the previous experiences. I love this one. This is exactly what I was saying. Building from the previous experiences, of means what? From our ancestors, from our forefathers, from our parents. That's just what I said before. These experiences is what is going to give the African child the confidence that they need in themselves, okay? Not to look inferior, not to think that anything that you're learning out there is new under the sun. Now just go back and begin to appreciate your humble backgrounds, or I call them your big, big backgrounds, and you understand that there's nothing that anybody can teach you if you really look at it in that way. apart from the fact that you want to see all tarred roads and then fast food on the street, that kind of slay lifestyle that everybody's like. Apart from that, even that is here. So, good. A more united and strong Africa. I'm not going into the details of this because, like I said, everybody can download and read for itself. It's available on Africa Union's page. You can go there and you download it for yourself. But I'm trying to break some of the key points that you just read through. That you'll not be able. I just want to inspire you more on how you can read it and you can keep it as a Bible for yourself. A more united and strong Africa. Of course, our parents know that we were not, and we are not united. Why? Because of the boundaries, because of the foreign cultures. We are more Europeanized in our school system than Africanized. Okay, we learn fishing in Norway while we have rivers running around us. Nobody taught us that we're fishing, that we're running out there. We learned in literature books, we read about Macbeth, and we never had African authors that would relate their stories to your own context. So the African child has always and most often been a European in his mindset before even to develop in that. And I still want to justify that. That's why Africans integrate so fast when they get out of Africa in any space that you give to them. They integrate the fastest. Of course, because we were already trained in that mindset right here. So Africa today is more united, a global power to reckon with, capable of rallying support around a common agenda and speaking with one voice, with demonstrated strong capacity to negotiate and withstand the influence of forces that would like to see it divided. Oh my goodness. Why am I exposing? Honestly, it's because of all the narratives that we keep propagating ourselves, believing that the leadership of the continent knows nothing, believing that they are puppets, believing that, and your fathers keep looking at you and like, or your mothers, like, okay, all right, let's see how you're going to come. You, with your colonized mentality coming out from there, you're going to sell the continent in no time. You just sell it because you've been trained to love money than people. You're growing up in a continent, in countries where functioning in countries where material and private individuals' life matters than the spirit of oneness. And so when we come up with such colonized agendas and Eurocentric mindset, calling it all the PhDs that we have, you're going to sell the continent in one touch if they give it to you, because you want to Europeanize it and say all the leaders or the elders or the parents of the continent know nothing. You would think they are stupid people. Okay. But like I said in the beginning, the first stakeholders of Africa are its people. So if everybody had to go out of Africa, who will be sitting in Africa and who will be doing and keeping the Africa so funky for that when we come back, we meet it even as better as it was. Okay. So the fourth point, why Agenda 26 is strong and well-functioning regional institutions, okay? We have Africa's sub-regional institutions have been rationalized into 8 official. We have the AU recognized regional economics. We have the communities, the RECs, the CNS, the CAD, COMESA, all these institutions, okay? I mean, these institutions are also restructuring, and I believe you, and I believe that one day they're all going to collapse and we're going to have one. New development and investment opportunities. Oh my God, you want to be business gurus. You're running out because you say, I don't have opportunities on the continent of Africa. And the government is so corrupt. Of course, corruption is everywhere. Ask, show me a country, I'll tell you their format of corruption. Okay, they just do it differently. And whatever it means for an individual, it takes two to always corrupt. Okay, so Africa today is faced with a confluence of factors that present a great opportunity for consolidation and rapid progress. This includes, number one, unprecedented positive and sustained growth trajectory of many African countries resulting from the sound macro system. I think we already talked about this. Great achievements in the fight against colonialization. Oh my God, I don't even know how to pronounce these words again. Woo. Here these people. Great achievement in the fight against colonialism. colonialism and apartheid, and significant reduction of armed conflict, improve peace and stability, coupled with advances in democratic governance. Okay, a fast rising broad based African entrepreneur and middle class coupled with the youth bulge, which can act as a catalyst for further growth and technological progress.